Oh, that's weird. Okay. Second. This one. Many screens. And this guy needs to be muted. Oh, that's weird. We're all set. Hey, folks, welcome to our version today where we're exploring tools, AI tools, ways of using these new tools to inspire us or perhaps actually compose entire compositions. They're pretty powerful tools, but there's still opportunity. Some people are saying, hey, that we're scared of AI because it's going to take away our jobs as composers. But there's still a lot of room for us to be filters. And there's still a lot of room for us to really insert our uniqueness. So that's part of what I'm going to get into today. I'm going to show you some stuff that if you might have played around with some of these tools, and some of them are pretty impressive what they do. And some of them can be really useful, depending on what type of piece we're trying to create. It's probably only going to get better. So this is the beginning of exploring these tools for me and perhaps even for you guys if you haven't had a chance. So there's really three types of kind of approaches. One is that there's the tools that are online, they're web-based tools that allow you to generate various types of compositions. Some of them are still pretty limited, but some of them are actually pretty powerful as well. Then there's the plugin type, and we're going to talk a little bit about one of them. My favorite so far is Scaler, but there are others, and I'm going to share a second example in this today. And then there's kind of a third option where, and Mark Giovanni did a nice presentation where he explores using GPT chat for, okay, tell me how to write, this kind of a mood for this kind of a piece. And then it would come back and you can go back and forth and kind of get some really good ideas more conceptually. And then if you want to turn that into code and particular instrumentation, there's actually ways of having GPT chat generate Python code that will then be able to be interpreted into generating that into actual MIDI. And then you can bring that into your DAW and do different things. So I'm going to show you a couple ways of getting MIDI into the DAW, which some are productive and some are not really productive. Then I'm going to also compare, if I can remember this, I'm going to compare some of the new plugins for sound synthesis with some of the ones that are professional versions, and then some open source. But either way, you should be able to see how these technologies are evolving and kind of get an idea where they're going, and perhaps then have some ideas of how they can work for your workflow and the kind of music that you might want to write or produce. I'm going to start with where is this? I have that over here. Is it over here? Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna share a piece that I wrote for this presentation, and you can kind of get a flavor of something that was created, or more probably in this case it was more inspired by something that I created online, and this is an AI generated music video. So anyways, you kind of get the idea. It's nothing that really goes anywhere incredible. But I'm going to show you the process of how I ended up getting there with this. And I kind of call this an EDM jazz march is really kind of what it is. And, you know, maybe it's because I've been cooped up doing too much orchestral work lately, and I just was jonesing to play some drums. But I'm going to show you the process that I went through to get to that. Okay, so this tool right here, and I can come back to this later if you guys are interested. This is a tool called Kyber or Kyber. I don't know if I have the pronunciation correct. And what I did is I uploaded the track and I put in this prompt and I changed a couple parameters in here to get the dimensions and kind of the style of how I wanted it to be presented, and it created that animation. So now that's a really great tool for a guy. I don't do that kind of animation. So to complement what I do in writing music, it's nice to have a visualization accompaniment. Now, what we're also seeing is that some of these AI tools, if you're a videographer and you're really into telling stories in that kind of visualization, and you want to pull in a mood, you can do the same thing with some of these tools. Now, is this the same as me working and really doing a storyline and a professional music video? No. Is it the same for somebody trying to tell a story with video, getting a professional to come in and be a composer? No. Okay, but for, you know, presenting ideas and getting inspiration, these tools are really powerful. You know, they may evolve beyond this, but I think they're going to get better in this kind of general direction for content creators, where it kind of complements the skills that you don't have to be able to kind of say more with what your skills are. All right, so I'm going to go over here to how this was created. I'm going to clear out a couple things here. All right, now this isn't going to play back because, well, actually, I'm going to start over here first. Where is this guy? All right, this will probably play back. This is a desktop application, but it really mirrors what's online. And there's a couple little advantages to working with it in the desktop. And I just downloaded it this morning as I was trying to explore this. So I don't have all the answers with this, but this is pretty much a user interface of what you can see online. And so what it allows you to do is, if I go back here to home, there's basically a directory and then a few little tools, and you can click create and it'll create a tune. And when you go into create, so if I go into create, let me see if I can do that here. So it gives you parameters, so you can create an EDM track and you can set other various parameters as far as, let's see, what can you do with this one? Usually I thought it allowed you to set the key, so you can set the key as part of it when you get into creating, say, an EDM track. I'm going to just see what this. Okay, so I can click on create. And when I do that, okay, yeah, so it gives me the option to create add a key signature, pick how long I want it to be. Do I want to create 3 or 4 of these compositions? So one of the things that I did, let me get out of here to my home, these are a variety of different styles that you saw there. So the one that I created that piece from is right here. So this is basically that little riff, and there's a couple little spots. Now that vibraphone sound is something I was playing with this morning, because one of the things that you can do with this, I didn't bring it in for the composition that I created, but what you can do then is you can download this, and it gives you the, do you want to download this as MIDI? Do you want to download this as just audio? But let me find the drum part in here, because it is pretty powerful when it starts playing the drums. Just one. It's not a terrible composition, if you're doing something for EDM, it's like, wow, it's actually pretty good. Now there's a couple other things. I'm going to play just a couple of these just so you get a sense of this tool, which is called Ava, or I think I said it right, Ava. Let's see, lounge band. So some of these are better than others, but let's see what this one sounds like. But it, you know, lounge is for others that played that gig before, you've got to kind of build off of it. And you know, the same way, I'm not an EDM guy, so I can't just like sit down and play a little EDM riff because it's just not part of a jazz riff. Yeah, cool. But anyways, so these things are good inspirations for folks to get started. So let's try another one. Like a synth. Fast forward. Now, let's see, let's take another one, trap ensemble. Let's see what that is. Okay, so I'm going to actually do, what did I pull in? Like a folk rock. Okay, so part of what makes this interesting, now I didn't go into this, I just learned about this actually this morning, but you can go into, let's take, actually take this track and then I'll go into the other one over here. I can go into the editor. And what this does is kind of looks familiar. All of a sudden we have the timeline. Now, let's say that I want, you know, I didn't like the part that it did in A. I can regenerate and replace it, or I want to add a little section in. I can add a little section in between parts. So you can kind of build on these auto-generated compositions, and then it will render it again so that you can pull it in and download it. So for example, this morning, I was just playing around with it because you can also add new tracks. So this is the one that I had pulled in for that piece, my little jazz march. And let's see where we go here. So I pulled this in, I thought I had another instrument track in here. How did I do that? Select mode, new layer. Oh, I bet I put it on here. So I'm in here. Okay. So you can add, so I click on this and you can, if you want to select the tool, and I have a link so you can actually go through the tutorial for this. But if I wanted to select, I can go in here and select these. I can move them around. You know, I want to move them up and down, do whatever. I can play around and do some editing to what's there, or I could regenerate a piece in there. Or if I want to blend various instruments. So this one I was playing around with adding, is this the, I don't know why I put a guitar in there. Oh, no, that's melody. Okay, so maybe it was on the melody. Well, anyways, one of these I added an extra instrument in the block here, and that enabled it. That's why you were hearing kind of a vibraphone sound. So you can play around with this tool and do some different things, but it's pretty impressive how we can put it together. It's still using kind of general MIDI tool or MIDI sounds and that kind of thing. But you know, once you bring it into your DAW, you can do just about anything. And that's kind of what I did. So I'm going to move this tool away for right now. And then I'm going to explore. Let me just pull that. So this was the timeline that that I used for that EDM march. I'm going to call it, for lack of a better thing. And all I really did was bring in this. This is that little groove, that little keyboard piece, right? And that's what's in the red. And then there's one other little piece that I used in the bottom. move this out of my way so I don't keep popping, is these drum tracks. So I drag the MIDI in to these 3 tracks, and there's a couple little hits over here, little, you know, subtle little things. And then when you get into this piece over here, this is creating a little bomb, the little kind of droney type of bass thing that's going on in there. But I didn't, I used completely different sounds for for that accompaniment. I took out that heavy duty, you know, 4 on the floor, because I wanted a whole different rhythmic element in there. So what I ended up doing with this is this track right here was just live drums. I just sat down and I played this live track on there, and then, you know, quantized it, because I'm not 100% perfect with my time. But I was pretty close. There's a couple things that are off for it once, you know, a little bit, but anyways, then I started, in this case, I sat and played the bass, and I came up with the bass part that I wanted to play. I played it in with a keyboard so I could play around with the sounds that I wanted to use it, you know, different sounds. And then if my time was off, this is kind of fast to play, you know, I'd have to sit and screw around with editing. It'd be a pain. So I can use quantize and that sort of thing. So this was, because I'm not really a bass player, but I got a feel and a flavor that I wanted through playing it live. And then I added various tracks in here. You know, you can hear a little piece and then you get inspired to add something. So a lot of those little running lines, I did those, and then I would double them with vibraphone or, you know, different synthesizers. You know, what kind of really took me the longest in doing this was finding the right, this particular Hellion sonic sound, something that sounded a little bit like the original EDM thing. It took me a while to find that almost that 80s kind of style synth that I could, you know, to put in there, because I had tons of pads and all kinds of, you know, cool lead lines, but nothing that really just came as close to having the attack that I wanted. Of course, I was doing it fast just because it was, you know, for an exercise here. So that's how that piece evolved. All right. And then what I did is, once it was done, then I added that and put that into that video software with the prompt, and that came to the output. Now, the part that I want to show you is a little bit more specific to how to create various things in this space. But let me see, is that really where I want to go next? Let me actually backtrack to some of these other tools and kind of explore those, and then I'm going to come back to Scaler, because we can you know, check out what Rafal has. But this is that same thing online. This is the online version of that same thing that I had as a desktop tool, and this is called Ava. And the other one that we're going to look at today is called Scaler. Now, that's a plugin that you put into your DAW, and we're actually going to play with that. There's another tool that does the same thing. Now, this particular tool is the one that I'm going to demo here shortly. What I believe it was this one that I created, the Innocent. Let me see if it is. So this is the one that I pulled in. So I created it. You can come in, you set a genre, you set, you know, what kind of style you want, and then, you know, what kind of key you want, and then boom, it'll generate it. Then what I did is I went in here, and you can download. Now this, you can only download, this was a regeneration of the same thing. On the original, you can come up here. Oops. Stop. You can download the audio and the MIDI. So that's what I did for the next example that I'm going to show you, and that's kind of a bigger palette, and I can play it in the DAW and that sort of thing. But this was the original. Now it's only 4 chords, but when I went into the style, I believe I picked cinematic, okay, for this one, because I wanted that, immediate chord kind of thing. So it's going back and forth in thirds, right? So what I did is I took those and then I put those into this sequence over here, and hopefully this will play. Now it's playing at a little bit faster pace. I think the other one was 100 beats per minute.
Chris,
Yep.
it's not really playing back well.
It's not playing back well.
It's
You're hearing it through my mic then, right?
it's going, whoa, yeah, it's breaking up. It's the Zoom thing.
Well, that really isn't fun. Let me make sure that is it different? I'm going to try it again. Well, see, I'm having the same problem that he's having here. Let me make sure that Zoom, where's my audio studio? It should be correct there. Why? Well, that's really a bummer. I'm going to have to play with that a little bit more. Still bad. Oh, well, that really is not fun. I don't know how to fix that right now. Any suggestions, guys?
John had a comment that maybe.
Oh, where's the chat? I haven't been reading. What did you suggest, John?
Well, I know on Windows you you got to do basically what Rafal did and route the audio to your
Let me go over there right now.
System audio. I
I
don't know Max as well, but
yeah, see, that's what I have here. That should be there.
yeah, your built-in type system.
Yeah, this is that part of it. Input.
Yeah, that's your interface. It would be like your computer itself, like as if you didn't have an interface. There's ways to do it, like with loopback and all this stuff, but it's hard and it's like painful to work through it.
So if I go here, you're probably not going to hear it, right? No, exactly.
Yeah, just through your mic.
Yeah. So, all right. I will. Can you hear it enough in the mic that you can get the example of what I'm talking about?
Perhaps if you turn it up a bit.
Can do that. Let me just try this. Go like that. A little better, not. You can hear it. That's really sucky. I'm gonna have to fix that.
Have you got original sound turned on Zoom?
Let me try that.
It sounds like it's not turned on.
Yeah, it sounds like a Zoom issue to me.
All right, we'll try that up there. Sorry about that feedback. Ouch, that hurt my ears. Optimized for video clip. We have originals. I have stereo. Where's share sound? Where do I put? Oh, you know what? I'll be willing to bet. Let me turn off share over here. If I come back over here, and where's my Zoom?
Top left should be original sound for musicians. You want to turn that on.
Oh, thank you. I'll be willing to bet that that's gonna do it. Let's see how this works. Is that better? Okay, Stuart.
But now you're in mono.
But that's okay. That's okay. I'd rather be in mono and have it work then. Okay, so let me get this screen sharing back over here, and
you should be able to turn the volume up a bit more as well, because it was still quite quiet, but it was clearer.
Okay, so let's come over to desktop 3, head back to 1, and now we're gonna get back to the training board. pull this. All right. All right. You can hear me okay still? Is there a yes or a no? Okay, so a thumbs up, and you're muted. All right. Let me come back over here to this. This is technical stuff. Is really challenging. So, you got it? Excellent. Now, what I did from there is, you know, to give it a little bit of flavor, I actually put the drums in next, but I'm not going to play those quite yet because it's a little distracting. So I wanted to have something live, something me on top of that, right? Now, what I did is I used Scaler in this case to play around with a few different things. I'm going to pull up Scaler here so you can see it. Now, how many of you have Scaler? By like show of hands, through who else? John, do you have Scaler? Carl?
Yes, I got Scaler.
Yeah, I've got it.
Mike?
No, not yet. Was going to look at this first.
Okay.
I've got it.
So it's really powerful. I'm going to kind of go through a couple things in here. There's some tutorials. I'll put the links when I finish the document and the slide presentation for the 30th. I'll have that a little bit more detail for you guys. But one of the things that's pretty neat. So this has those same 4 chords, right? The B flat, G flat, E flat, and F. And if I just play them, oops, I have to unmute this. Oh, okay, so this one's on the bass. I'm sorry, give me a second here. I'm going to take out of bass. I'm just going to go out of perform, and then it should just play the chords. Now this is set to the duration of what I wanted it to play, 2 bars for each chord, right? You can go in, you can change those to different durations if you want by playing around with the settings. So you have so many beats that you want. So there's a variety of different things that you can do with that. But where this really gets interesting in generating content, aside from the chords, is the ability to create various arpeggiated types of patterns. So now this one I'm in a bass, but let's say I want to do this with a strumming thing. So I can come back over here. Now it's gonna see, it's strumming it as opposed to just playing it as a block chord. Now if I want to change this to an arpeggio, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to pick a particular kind of arpeggio that I want to get into. So I'm going to say performances as phrases. Let's go over here. This is just a basic. So let's just hear the basic. Now that's a little bit more than just a typical arpeggiator, because usually arpeggiator is just going to go up or down, or you know, it's not going to have, you know, that's playing it like a human would play it, more like you're going to hit the bass notes, play your arpeggio, bass notes, play an arpeggio. And there's a wide variety of different types of arpeggios that you can pull in. So let's try Avant-Garde 2. So the beauty is that you can get various comp patterns if you want. I'm just going to pick one here. I don't know what this is going to sound like. Now, if you get to know these, you can actually leverage them fast. I can play any of those things, right? And most of us here can, right? So it's useful, but I might not get it right the first time, and then I got to quantize it and so forth. So not only can I try a few different things through listening to the options that they have here, but I'm going to essentially play it clean and not have to, yeah, it's just going to be clean. All right, so let's listen to another one. All right, so now how can you use that? All right, I'm going to put in what's called MIDI capture, and I'm going to play this one time. All right, so I just recorded that. I'm going to move this to the side, but what I'm going to do here is I'm going to stop this, and then I click on drag, and I'm going to drag it in. I just need to move this so that I can see where I'm going to drag it. Let's try, where am I over here? Is there anything up here? There isn't really anything up here. So I'm going to just try, and I'm going to drag this over here, and let's...
Chris,
Yep.
before you go, just a little bit tip. If you don't have to capture a MIDI, you can just drag and drop it, and it's ready to go with the performance is selected.
So but I
Yeah,
can just
so-
click on
Yeah.
drag. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
just and drag it to your piano roll.
Okay, let me just try it right now, just to make sure. Just click on drag, and it pulls it right. Oh, beautiful! That saves a bunch of time. Thank you for the tip. Tip number 1. All right, so now here's that same piece. Now let's just take a listen and see how that sounds. So you see how that could really actually be kind of nice, right? I didn't have to sit and play that in, take a chance of making a mistake. It had the feel that I want coming from that transition. So that's pretty powerful. I'm going to take out some of the, let me just pull off. I can't take off these because I need to keep a couple things muted. But I think you get the idea of how you can leverage this to do that. Now there's to fill in the blanks. Now there's the same. You can do the same thing when it was when I had it set up here before. I had it set up under bass. So this is I think bass is. I think I just had basic. I think it was just like number 2, and. You don't want something too crazy, but if you're going to do like an EDM funk track or something like that, you're going to... Now you're going to use a different patch than what's being played here is a felt piano. You're going to put in a little funky bass sound, but you can see how you can grab these things really quickly and leverage this tool to put together a composition fast. Now, with that said, okay, so I could create a composition without even having to play anything. Drag and drop, and it sounds good. Well, where we have that ability to make the transitions between these various sections, in this case, it actually worked out kind of nice coming from that violin. But that violin was played in manually, and but I might have wanted to have some other kind of a transition. So that's the filtering that is what allows us to put that human element in. That and some of the dynamics that are here. And I don't know exactly what you're going to present today, Rafal. So I don't want to get too much into that because I don't want to take away from whatever you're doing. But one of the things that I did want to get into with this is pretty awesome. I'm going to turn off Performer for a second, and I'm going to I think I can that's not a different pick a different pattern maybe. No, yeah, okay. Now if I want to go in, well, where is it up here? If I want to create chords, detect, I don't want to, do you remember where that is? For
What are you looking for?
creating, I want to create some chord progressions. Do I go into suggest? I
Yeah.
think it is. Yes. Okay.
Or you can pick up scales in the below the keyboard.
Okay. Below the keyboard right here.
No. Below you have detect, and the second one are scales.
Oh yeah. Okay. There we go. Thank you. So I picked my thank you. I couldn't remember that one. So now that I'm in here, and one of the things that was pretty interesting is we've been studying all these various harmonic types of structures, and one of the things that I thought was really interesting is, let's go into harmonic minor, and where was I think Neapolitan major scale. Where was the one? Okay, all right, here it is. So let's try over here. Try voicings. Where was it? Over here. Variations. Okay, so I can go into mediate, and then I have that in there. Now, where was the other one that I had in here? Subdominant. So you can go into here, and you can just drop the chords in if you want. Listen to them. Where was the one I wanted to get into?
You mean modal interchange and those stuff?
Yes, where are those
Modulation,
again?
the last one, modulation.
Modulation. Okay, so this is trippy, man. You go into here. Let's go to the Neo-Romanian. Okay, and I'm going to pick C minor. All right, now it has it's going in, let's go to this one. So it's giving you that chart. There's another one where it'll actually break it down into, it has kind of a grid. Actually, that one is probably modal interchange, I think it was. Well, you can. So one of the things, like Stuart, with your chart, that's in a circle, but they have that same kind of breakdown here in how they're moving around. Medians, or let's try progression. No progressions. Secondary scale. Oh, where's the modal interchange? I was looking for that.
I will. Which one you are looking, Chris? I can explain this a little bit more in details.
Perfect. I'm going to let you do that, because where's the one where it kind of goes down and it creates a tree?
Oh yeah, then you have to go to the medians.
That's the medians.
Yeah, and you have to click one.
Yep. Yeah, there we
Yeah.
go. That's what I'm looking for. So now I'm going into here. And then you can pull those into your thing right here. I'm just going to pull them in for the sake of it. And then you would be able to create your performance for whatever you want. So you see how that can generate some pretty interesting combinations for you. Thank you for that. I haven't been in here for a few days, so I kind of forgot where that was. But it's a pretty powerful tool that you can use. Now, since we're on this, if you want, do you want to share some more on this right now with your dog, Rafal, and then we can.
Up to you, Chris. Maybe you can finish with yours when you are on fire, and then I will continue with Scaler. No problem.
Okay, so.
Yeah.
So with this piece, which is going into a variety of different things, and just a couple. All right, now in the beginning, as an example, I started turning this into a little bit more of a drum thing. So anyways, those were just drag and drops, screwing around with drums. I wasn't really trying to make any kind of an interesting piece, but oops, I want to take these guys off. I want to mute these. Then it goes into another. So now, like for example, with this, I wanted a nice little chordal thing, so I turned everything off in Scalar, and I just went back to the basic chords that they had in this pattern. I played it, put it in, done, you know, and then I had just the chords. I didn't have to go and play those in and sit there and wait. And that's especially cool that you can just drag now instead of. I didn't know that even saves more time because I don't have to sit there and what I thought needed to happen is create it. So. Anyways, that's really kind of how that part works. Now, I believe I can go into here. There's this was another version of. Let me just mute everything. Where did I place this? I think I just put it at the beginning. So this was another one that I got from a different tool. And let me see if I can find this over here. Yeah. So this is another tool similar to that called Soundpiece. And it does pretty much the same thing as it'll generate. It's not quite as cool or as smooth as Scalar, but I can generate what I want over here and then just drag this into the DAW, and voila, it's there. Now I don't know what I put it over in some other directory somewhere, so I'll have a little surprise. But actually, did it? Yeah, there it. Oh no, I put it down here. Okay, so it created a MIDI track down here that. So it took that's I could have dragged that up here and put it into something useful, but this is just that simple little thing. Okay, so all this is and there's no thought into this. This was just drag and drop over there. So I created a piece that was a chord chart, and then I created another piece that was a melody line. Actually, they were independent of each other, so they're probably not even synced in the same key. But if I mute this, let's just solo that instead. Yeah, the melody isn't too bad. It's actually kind of interesting. So you can use it to generate various parts of your composition. That tool, where did you go now? It's over here. What is that application? It's not. No, there it is. So this. Let me just get this. Wow, this. Working with these screens is really kind of a pain because there's a lot of layers. But what I can do with this is you can generate either a beat, chord, or melody, and that was just the example that I played in here: a beat, chord, and a melody. So it's the same thing. It's not quite as sophisticated as Scalar, so it doesn't really come up in my book as something that's useful for me, but I just wanted to show you that there are some other alternatives for doing some of the same things, and that's, this is called the Inspire plugin. So that's what that is. The next little thing that I found, which is, let me go into here, was this DSP. Now, this is, let's pull up this plugin. This is, anyways, what this does is this it's kind of a humanization type of tool that they put into here, and this is part of. Let me go over here to the website, and this is part of. Is it this one? Oh, it's part of this concept here. So there's and when I finish the slides in the accompanying document, I'll have more information about that. But you can read more about it over on Magenta, and it creates a humanization kind of effect that you can add to your piece. Now, that is just the plugin piece of it, and then it allows you to also attach it to an instrument. Now, the thing that I don't really like with this is, now when I have this is a plug-in on the violin. So when I come over here to, where is it? I gotta go over to there now. Oh, so many screens. When I come over to the plug-in, so you'll see that it's just assigned as a plug-in over here, and I mean, it almost looks identical, same kind of thing. But now if I disable this, now, so it takes over, and you're working with like the synth. It isn't really working with the original sound, but that's two ways that it allows you to get it onto a track. And it's not really that impressive to me, but it's another area where some of these technologies are evolving. What I found more interesting than that, as an example, is the SWAM tools are doing kind of the same thing, where they're changing back and forth. So this one, if you look right in this area right here where it says full attack, it's kind of dynamically changing the actual it's like using artificial intelligence based on how you play to come up with it. Depending on which is actually pretty awesome. This is actually really good, and this isn't a sample. This is really generating the sound. And most of you guys, I think, are familiar with SWAM, but this does a better job of that same kind of thing. But this is also a professional tool that you can buy, a library system that you can buy. So that's a brief comparison of those two guys as well. So let me turn those off for right now. Mute and mute, boom, and that's what I had for those guys. If you want to share a little bit more about Scaler, why don't we do that now, Rafal, and then I'll come back and I can briefly go through kind of a list of some other tools. Does anybody have any questions so far before we go, or while we make the transition?
Yes.
Okay, fire away.
The DDSP, is it basically using the harmonic overtones to create a timbre?
I'm not exactly sure, but I'm going to paste this in the chat for you right
now. I had a demo of DDSP, and you can select the instrument that you want, and I think what it does is it uses machine learning to mimic the instrument. So it creates it on the fly.
Right. So it uses the overtone series and creates the harmonics to create that.
It will create the whole thing. Yeah, based upon the error function. So it will do something and test itself to see if it's close enough to what a saxophone sounds like.
And if you say it's not a saxophone, it adjusts it.
No, you don't say that. It's got its own error checking, I think. But what happens is you have to train it on thousands and thousands of saxophones. So I don't fully understand how we do that, because I've got it, and I didn't know if it was learning to become more and more like a sax or not. But it didn't sound that saxy to me initially. But then on the demos, they all sounded brilliant. But on the one that I had, it didn't sound very saxy. But you could move something around, and
when you click the train button, when you click the train button, it takes you over to here. Okay, so I'm going to post that in the chat as well for you. Sorry.
They always sound great on the demos, don't they?
Yeah.
Don't try this at home, boys.
But it sounds really interesting, and well, the demos that they had sounded really realistic, like real instruments. But I'm not fully clear on what we have to do our end really to get it to sound good.
Yeah, well, so it's like if you're going to use it for your voice, that's a whole nother scenario. So it's like whatever sound you create, then you go through the training process from what I can tell, and that training process will kind of remember it like your voice, remembered "Hey Siri," the characteristics of your voice, and filters that out from anybody else being able to use your Siri. So it's going to do that kind of a thing. But
is it open source? I think it might be open source, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just not something I wanted to spend a lot of time with, but it is fascinating that is evolving. That's why I wanted to bring that out there and share that with you.
So it's basically modeling, but you have to do the modeling.
Yeah, well, you have to train it and get it to do what you want. Oops, my phone remembered my Siri.
The swams. That flute to me didn't sound like that great, but it was mostly because I think of the articulations. It sounds like a keyboard.
Well, let me see. Is this a? Oh, because I got to do this.
And that's a saxophone?
Yeah. Now it.
Don't the swams work differently? With the modeling, doesn't it work on a vibrating body, and it's got lots of different processes that it replicates?
Yeah,
whereas I think on the other one, the DDSP, I think it might work differently in terms of it just tries to generate it from scratch without going through the modeling process. Perhaps, I don't know.
Well, what I found is that the AI inflections in Swam are really good. The tonality isn't quite as, convincing to me. But if you blend that with a real saxophone or a real flute, you've got a really nice blend. It really comes across nicely. So, but just as an example, this technology is evolving. I was pretty impressed when Swam came out, but it's not a sample, but perhaps if you can find ways of blending, you can really take the best of what it has to offer. So you want to share something there, Rafal? And
yes, almost there. So let me check this. So now, can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, we
can.
Perfect. Can I minimize this or something? I don't know. Okay, doesn't matter. And can you hear that?
Yep.
Yeah, so it was playing.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so I have this here 3 instances of Scaler loaded up to show you a little bit how it can be used for creating a idea that you can develop further. So on this one, I have a MIDI routing to my instruments. So this here I have some string legatos. Here I have some brass shorts. It just ensembles patches. And on that one, I have a staccato string patch. So going to Scaler, I will open this one with the long strings. And then I have to click here in my okay, it's there. So maybe I don't know how much time you guys have. I think it will take about 20 minutes, or I should go faster. Anyone?
Sounds good to me.
Fine with me.
Okay, guys. Then I will talk a little bit more maybe about the interface. So basically, you have this A, B, C sections here. And the first one is sort of where you can detect scales, or you can just select the scale you want, or pick up one with the songs or artists. But yeah, we get to that part. The second part is here when it's the chord set for particular scale is visualized, and you can just click on it, and then you can hear it, how it sounds. Here is also a little bit playback button that you can hear the scale as well. And here you can visualize the note set, which is in the scale. And then there's a C part, which is pattern creator. So you just, sequences of chords that you like and would like to, transform to your composition. So as I said there, and what Chris was saying, it's a quite powerful tool, and you can use it in many ways. I will show you one that I think it works for me. So here in the detect window, I can here choose a MIDI audio file or audio from my interface, so I can play instrument or whatever. But okay, let's stay with MIDI. When I tap record here, and I will play some chords on my keyboard, a very simple progression. So nothing special. As you can see, here I have this chord set with the voicings. By the way, guys, technical question: how the loudness is on your side? Is it enough, too much, too less?
Good.
Okay, perfect. So I have here the scales that Scaler detects basing on the chords I just played. So we have a G minor scale. It's relative major, B flat, and modes. So a lot of this stuff here that you can pick from. And here we have information how many notes are matching the selected scale and the chord progression that we just played. And same for the chords. Here you also have a little bit tagging for your for the scale, like a positive, bluesy, happy, light, serious, sad, whatever. So here I can select scale, and then as you can see, chord set is changing in the scale window. But okay, let's stay with G minor. And what I can do now, I can select those and copy this to my. It always plays when you pushing a button on the mouse. Probably you can change it, but I don't know where. So please forgive me this. And then I have my first pattern with this chord progression that I just played. So I can push play here. I can push play here and hear it, but yeah, let's call it, I don't know, verse, or you can call it whatever you want. And let's make it a little bit longer with 8 chords. Let's double this. I don't know if this can be done faster, but what I noticed, you have to select the chords in the order, because when you start selecting from this side, then when I want to copy it, it worked. So forget what I said. Doesn't matter, and nothing really important. But so I have this duplicated, and let's say I would like to a little bit variated. So here I have my chord progression, sorry, not chord progression, but the chord set from the scale. So let's say I will grab this D minor and yeah, make some shiftings in the second part. And now we are coming, I can play along all of this sequence now. But what is a nice feature here in the scaler is like a binding to your MIDI keyboard. And when I press this small button here, then now I can play all chord sets just using one key on my MIDI keyboard. So as you can see, this area got gray now, and this is each key are representing each chord in this pattern. So I can, for example, start playing only with the second part. So yeah, okay, sounds quite well, but if I look at this chord, it's a different voicing than those ones, because those I played on the keyboard and I keep the bass notes over there. So now if I would like to keep the same voicing, what I can do is right click on that chord, and here you have function like extract voicing. Then I can apply to this one, right click, apply voicing, and then I should. Yeah, so I have now the bass notes on this D minor, but okay, maybe it's too low. So what I can also do, I can select that chord, and here on the right side of the scaler, you have these tabs, and you can select them by clicking or just pressing Ctrl 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as here stated. On Mac probably is Command. So what I can do now is go to chord, chord window, and then on this little triangle in the top right corner of each chord in my pattern, I can select that chord, and here with the yellow, I don't know what is the name of this color, but let's call it yellow keys. I have my keys on my chord, right? So let's say I would like to have this A playing higher, so I can just deselect it and select a higher note. So it sounds a little bit better, let's say. And yeah, of course, we can get more deeper into this and add extra voicings, but it's not the, let's say, subject for today. What you can also do in the main window, Chris already mentioned that, but you have this possibilities here for additional, let's say, voicings or variations. So I will explain it a little bit more. Here you have like a simple triads, or you can use a 7th chord, or 9th, 11th, 13th. So let's say the main voicings. And when you go here, you have more advanced voicings. Then you have some selections. And of course, I can also bind this section to my MIDI keyboard, and I can play those chords. So yeah, you have, you know, multiple voicings directly at your hands, and for me, it's really useful, because when I have to figure it out which key I have to include in that chord or whatever, it takes a lot of time for me. So yeah, I think it's a very nice tool to variate your progression. And here we have, here you can just select a particular note in the scale. So you have tonic, supertonic, mediant, subdominant, dominant, and so on. And you can select one, and then you have even more choices for your voicing, like B flat major, 7/11. You know, probably you guys know better than what does it mean.
So hey, this Rafal,
Yeah.
Before you get too far away from voicings,
Yeah.
I came across something I wondered if you had too, because I don't know where I found it and haven't been able to find it again. But
Sure.
in voicings, there seemed to be a place where you could specify, well, do I want it wide or do I want it to have the most parsimonious voice leading? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but this is in different section. I think you are talking about the voice grouping here on the top.
Okay.
Yeah, we will come to that part as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah, no worries. So, and then last but not least, we have this very powerful modulation window where Chris already showed that, but basically you can use progression, and then you have circle of fifths representation here. So let's say it should looks like I have now F scale selected. So what I will go back to main window, I will select again my G minor. Then I will get back to the modulation window, which can be also accessed here, or Control 5. Then, yeah, I have G minor selected. And then let's say I would like to modulate to the E flat major. Then I'm clicking on that circle of fifth, and here Scaler is showing you suggested modulation pathway. And it's first one from 24, which you can change here with that arrow appearing. So let's say I can bind here. So yeah, sounds quite good, I would say. And what is also nice, I think, let me check if it's working here.
You bound with the little green so that you can play them with one key is what you did, right?
Yes, indeed.
In case it went too fast for anybody if they missed it. That's what that little on the right is.
Yes, which is flashing when you select it. And what is also cool on this modulation window, that you have 1, 2, 3 sections of that part. And here, when you start this, you see here I have my, let's say, chords. And here I have key switches. So I can, pressing C1 on my MIDI keyboard, I can change those little things here, as you can see. Hope you can see that, guys.
Yep.
Yeah, so I can select, let's say, section 2, then play some chords and select 3 by my MIDI keyboard and continue. It just, you know, to more maybe be when you are playing something, just to get an idea, it's quite easy not to click in mouse and just be on the keyboard. I think it's quite nice too. And then we have secondary scales, which are, I don't know, maybe you know better what is this, but then apparently something here is appearing, like if you would like to modulate from G minor to B flat major, then you're going through C minor and F7 chord. Is that secondary dominant or something, maybe?
It's a 2-5 going to the new key. That's all it is. Not a big deal.
Okay, yeah. But then if I will, yeah, I can use these arrows, and then I think it took you from that key to the E flat major. Yeah, and then we have modal interchange, which is, I think, very nice, because then you have all chord possibilities, yeah, in the table. And here you can see there's a mode named. Okay, they call it minor here, but it's Aeolian because we start with G minor, right? So it's a first mode, then Locrian major, and so on. And you can pick some chords to, you know, to replace with your original progression, just to make put some more variety. Then you have medians, which is also quite cool, like Chris was presenting, that you can just go with medians and create some nice progression. And then new Riemannian was also presented, right? So if I go here and then I will bind this, I can so yeah, you know, you can play some nice stuff with those helpers or whatever you call them. So yeah, let's say I will now duplicate this pattern and just we'll call it, doesn't matter, chorus, and then let's say I can go to model interchange and yeah, just we'll put some chords anywhere. Okay, I don't know, it looks like some sort of bug here because I grab A major, but it shows F sharp, 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 sharp major, whatever it means. But yeah, anyway, then I can just play through it. Yeah, so that doesn't sound too nice. Then I can also extract this voicing and apply it to this one. Yeah, not so bad, but let's say I will delete this one and I can just select it, and here is with these 3 dots remove. And yeah, let's say to fulfill this pattern, I would like to have this twice longer. Then I can go to again to chord. Then I can go to edit window, and here for this chord I can use playback timings twice. Then this chord will play twice using also that cell. Then I have like a full yeah, I have this looping button selected here, so that's why it was looping. Okay, then, so let's say we have that progression, and what I can do now, because those states of scalar are now like empty. So what I can do, there's a nice function here, like you click on that blue S thing and choose sync here. Then you can sync this instance of scalar with the other instances. And there's a multiple options here, but what I am doing always is just picking entire state. Then here I see there are 2 other instances connected. So apparently everything is okay. So I am clicking sync. And what should happen now, the other instances of scalar should have the same setup, let's say. But when I play it, I hear my brass staccato sound. So let's go now to the string part. And yeah, it's playing, that's good. So now we coming to the performance tab, which Chris was already mentioning. But then if I play with that chord set, I can select here, as Chris already mentioned. You can also do arpeggios and strumming, but yeah, performance, and there's a lot. Apparently, these are sort of how to say this. They on the top there's a lowest one, and moderato vivace is the fastest ones. Maybe it's from Italian or whatever indeed means like that, but I'm not an expert. So yeah, but if we choose that, yeah, then you can hear it's a little bit faster rhythm. If I choose Yeah, so it's quite nice. And then let's go with one. I have one nice here. I think it was somewhere here. Rhythms is more playing chords, because the other two, like performances and phrases, are more melodic and with playing notes, and rhythms are more chords, what I noticed. So I have this one here. I think it was fantastic. Okay. So I have the simple rhythm here, and what I can do also in the pattern section, if you right click on your playback button, then it will sync with your DAW. So when I have this here activated with my right click of the mouse, and then I will also activate this one here for my brass sound, then when I tap play on my DAW, it will play both scalar instances. Yeah, so I can play those two, and if I now go to I just picked one that I checked before, and I like it, so let's hear it now. Can you guys hear it? Well, I'm just checking.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So now we're coming to the part that Carl was referring to. So this brass sound, let's say I will turn off this one for a second, and it's quite low. So what I can do, it's quite low. So what I can do is enable here voice grouping, and then Scaler will automatically sort of try to pick the note set of particular chord to make it how to say this, sound nice, and the voice leading between the chords are with the not so big intervals. Is that the word? Correct me if I'm wrong. So if I now play this without and with voice grouping, yeah, so it plays a bit higher and sounds better, let's say it that way. So now I can go back here, activate DAW sync, and then I have these both instances playing, right? So I have some very simple line of string and brass shorts playing together. So I will go now back to my strings, long notes. And what we have also here is melody. Bass was already mentioned by Chris. So I will choose a melody, and melody is a little bit different organized. There are like things like color, common motif, riffs, and themes at the end. So you also have plenty of possibilities to get inspired. So I just selected one of those, and then if I play so what we heard now was melody and chord playing at once. So you can change it actually going to your two little cogwheel, I think that's the word here, and then choosing expressions here, you see there's a melody style, and it's chord plus melody. So I will change that to melody only, and that should only now play melody without my chords. So let's check it out. Yeah, so we have a melody. It's not, let's say, very nice, this one, but I will just play it along and we'll change to the other ones. Yes. So the last one was more like chord playings, and it's called theme here. But yeah, there's a plenty of this, and really you can get inspired and have a nice composition as starting point with these guys. And also in each, let's say, melody is something like common C all, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. It means that the melody itself has like a 4-bar length. I think it's like that. And if you select C1 only, then it will only play the first part, second part, and so on. And actually, this also depending how melody will be reacting. If you change here, your performer mode, it has two options, like retrigger. That means that this first part of the melody or each phrase will be just looped with each chord change. But you can go with follow, then it will play all, let's say, melody, including chord changes. So let's try this. Yeah, it doesn't sound too well, of course, but I'm just showing you that you can really go through it and find something suitable. But I like that one, actually, motive C. So let's hear this. Yes, so now I can also right-click here. Now I have all my instances of Scaler sync to my DAW, and when I hit play, or yeah, it didn't sound well yet, but you can play with your voicing. You can also use voice grouping in the scaler and see how it sounds. And of course, at the end, what Chris was presenting, I can go to my piano roll page, right, and go to scaler and just drag and drop, and then I have this melody loaded up, right? So there are some glitches, as you can see, but yeah, you can just fix this and then start to work out with your sound using your sample library. So
Scaler itself is you're playing the voices within its own engine is usually what you're playing. So you can sync it and play that, and you can get a nice little roadmap of everything. But if you really want to leverage your libraries that we've all invested so much money in,
Yeah,
You
yeah,
really want to
indeed.
kind of try to drag
Indeed.
over and emulate, and you actually
Yeah.
have that MIDI in. You have a little more dynamic control too.
Yeah, yeah, of course. At the end, you have to put some dynamics and so on. So that was basically what I wanted to show you in general. But there, just briefly, what are the other ways to use Scalar? You can always, you know, go here. Just play some melody on the keyboard, whatever you want. Oh, not that sound. Sorry. Yeah, and then it's also detecting the scale, that possible scale that you might work around with that melody. I think here I just double press the key, and that's why it shows like that the chord, because the notes are basically shown with the small rectangle here. Yeah, so that might be also a way to, you know, to work around with the harmony around your melody with your harmony. So you can, yeah, select the scale you want to work with and just go ahead. And at the end, there are also many like ready to go stuff here. Like you can go common progressions. Yeah.
No, I was going to ask you to make sure to show that. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you can go with the common progressions, let's say like 1, 5, 4, 6, 4 selected, and then you have triad, simple, some colored bunch of stuff. Let's go with simple triads, yeah. And then yeah, I have this in C major. I can change the, of course, scale. Then yeah, it should adjust to this triad, to this selected song. But it, oh yeah, I know. I think here there's a little, how do you call it? You know, keylock maybe. I don't know if I press this. So I can here force into the scale. So let's say if I want to be this song that I selected in the closest to the D major scale, then it will change the chord set to that scale you are looking for. And actually now every song I am choosing here from, let's say, jazz, K-pop, a lot of this stuff here. Let's go with rock and 1. Then it's also trying to keep the D major scale, because I locked this this option to have this scale in the selected song. And if I turn it off, it will go back to the original progression. And there's also something like artists. I think it just progressions from guys from the community that are putting something, and with each update of Scalar, it's getting bigger and bigger. So you can go here, just check some progressions. Of course, now it's I have to turn off the performer, and then yeah, so well, basically that's it, guys. Hope you will find useful, and yeah, thanks for watching.
Excellent. I thought that was very well laid out, less scattered than what I was doing, kind of showing it in more of a workflow with the DAW, as opposed, you know, just honing in on Scalar's really powerful. It's really fantastic. And of course, Miguel has the first question of the day, and then Art. So let's hear what you have, Miguel.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Rafa. That was a nice presentation. And also, Chris, a nice presentation. I have a question. In the beginning, when you start, you can record, I assume, using your keyboard, and then
Yes.
melody, and the melody will be, they will guide you what kind of scale could be that, and also maybe some chords, the company according to the scale also maybe is going to be there, right? Now, my question would be, and then you pick and put it at the bottom where you have the sequence, you know, all the progression. And
Shall
then,
I share my screen again, Miguel? Would you like to see it again, my screen?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so my question is, I have several questions, but one of them would be, let's say you put some melody. Now, there an option to the melody that you recorded, an option that they can manipulate the melody and make changes to the melody and make it, let's say, variations of the melody?
To the melody, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest. But yeah, what I find out that you can always, yeah, it's not the same, of course. But if I go to detect and I have this set of notes, what I can do is here, if I select them and right click, is convert to unison chords, and then it's acting as a unison chord, and then you can play around it. And use scalar functionalities. But with the melody, I don't know, maybe other folks know something about this, but I didn't find this tool.
There's a tool actually like in Cubase where you can kind of lock it. So whatever you play on the keyboard, it will keep it within that scale. And Scalar will do the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember exactly. It'll lock it so you can only play a C major scale. And it'll, you know, no matter how many black keys, it's just going to grab the closest.
So you have this here. You have key lock, and then whatever you play only white keys on your keyboard, and then the scale will pick Scalar will pick correct notes. But I think Miguel means something different. If Scalar can generate varieties of the melody you just played, right, Miguel?
Yes, that was.
Yeah, so that functionality I'm not aware of, and I didn't find it. Maybe yet, or maybe it's you can only work here with chords, you know.
Okay, I have another question in that case. At the beginning, you started with, instead of melody, you put chords. So they were chords generated by you. You were trying to follow some kind of progression, right? Then you put it at the bottom. And then my question is, the Scalar suggests you, it does a good progression, you know, good leading tones going there, or maybe you can just.
Yeah, actually, there is a functionality which I forgot to mention. Good point, Miguel. So you have this suggest button here. So if I have my progression and I will go to, I think it was, yeah, in the main window. Anyways, and then when I select, or maybe it was here. Yeah, I can, okay, here I just need to press it. So I have this suggest now active, and I can select any of the chords from my progression, and it will suggest the, you know, next chord. And what is also, what I didn't mention, you have this 3 indications in Scalar. With the blue means that all keys from the chord are in the scale. A little bit light gray is like there are at least two common notes, and I think when there is a dark gray color, then it's one common note or something like this. So you can also see in yeah, how far from the source scale you are getting out. Let's say that way.
I think the light gray actually is no common tones. So there's
light gray.
There's you don't have any up there. Yeah, on the far right, the farthest right, to the farthest right. Keep going.
This one
right there. Yeah.
Yeah, could be.
I think that doesn't have any common tones.
No, looks like. I think.
It looks dark gray.
Yeah.
Or is that one? And then I can't see.
No. Yeah, it has F, like a common note.
There aren't any.
Rafal, I have another question.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, the question is, at the end, almost at the end, you were having different arpeggios. one with B, one with high, etc. And they sounded nice too. Now my question is, when you transfer the do, you have to have it's just one scalar for the whole thing, or just one scalar per instrument, per track?
Yeah, one scalar per instrument. Actually, you need it. Yeah. So I have this, let's say, scalar here connected, as I mentioned, to in my FL Studio to output MIDI output port 3, and then on my instrument I have MIDI input port set to 3, and that's how I change the instrument. So actually you can connect multiple instruments to the one scalar, but then it will play one melody or one sequence, But if you would like to separate them with vary melodies and different instruments, then you have to use different instances. At least this is how I think it is, but yeah, maybe in other DAWs like Cubase or Logic are different ways to do it, where you can approach this like you said, Miguel. But here in FL Studio, you have to use different instances for each instrument. Is that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you very much, Rafa, for the nice presentation. Yeah, nice instrument.
Thank you, Miguel. Thanks for your questions. Art.
Well, you answered my question, so thank you. Great job, Rafal.
Okay.
I bought it and I've been working with it some, but it's usable in many different ways, I think.
Yeah, indeed, and it's more editing stuff, but the playability that you can just with one keyboard, one keyboard, you can play a whole chord set. Like for me, if I'm not a piano player, it's hard to go by myself, right?
Yeah, but it's very disconcerting when you play one chord, one note, and it's a completely different chord because.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
I think from a harmonic standpoint, it's its strongest area. From chord, its melody is not really creating melodies. It's creating notes from the chords that it has, and putting them in some kind of order that might make sense.
Yeah, actually, you touch a nice point here, Art, because there's a functionality in Scalar that you can beyond the chord notes. So here, if I go to performances, for instance, and then where was it? Let me check. Not here. Okay, I have to turn this off maybe. That's interesting. Phrases. Okay, let's go here. And you see next to the phrases, you have something like chord and scale. And that means that this will pick only notes from the chord that is playing here. But when you switch to the scale, what I think it will go a little bit beyond and use a different voicing, so different notes. So let's check that out. I will. This is with chord. And this is with scale. Yeah. So as you see, it used different keys, I think, but I think it was for chords here. So I don't know how it worked exactly, but yeah, you have also these possibilities here where I also didn't mention this, but you can, halve the speed of the arpeggio or double it. So yeah, let's say. Of course, here was too much, but there's melodies that you can just go twice with the speed, and then it's a different feeling, of course. Yeah.
Try playing that thing in and being consistent over like 16 bars. That little arpeggio. No, God, I got to do it again. No. So that's really useful. If you're doing that ostinato kind of a thing for a tension scene, it's like this just really helps save time.
Yeah.
Unless you're like amazing keyboardist like Michael Whitaker or something like that, it's really difficult. I hate doing that. Have you ever had to do that where something's so fast you had to slow down the tempo and then play it and then quantize it to get it in right and then drag and drop? Nobody ever had to do that? I'm talking about cheating. Okay.
Okay, any more questions, guys?
Well done, Rafal. You really
Can I just ask,
nice features.
Rafal, how much
Yeah.
have you used? How much have you used it in your compositions, and what do you tend to use it for?
Yeah, mainly I'm using it for appraisals, I think. Yeah, with chord progressions, I'm trying to just figure it by myself, but of course, suggested chords or a neo-Riemannian modulation function is really cool. Everything is cool, so everything can help. But usually, I'm starting with my progression, and then I think it generates a really nice appraisals, which I'm using. And even if it doesn't sound too well, you can just drag and drop your MIDI, shift some notes, change the 1 octave up or down, and then you're done. So it's a time saver. It's a time saver.
Can it work with drums as well?
No, I don't think so. I didn't try this, but I don't think so.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Unless you program your instruments to maybe some and store your own melody in Scaler, which you can also do, and program it to play the drums with the instrument.
Well, so one of the things, I don't know, so I use mental block here, my drums, Groove Agent, I'm sorry, yeah. So I use Groove Agent, and with Groove Agent and probably plenty of the other tools as well, I just drag and drop. That's how, like in that piece that I was demoing, that's what I did, just screwing around, just drag and drop from particular patterns. So you go in, you can find a particular kit, and a particular kit has so many patterns, and you just drag and drop, and voila, it's right there. And it's 16 bars, 8 bars, whatever it is. And a lot of, how many of you have worked with Groove Agent? Nobody in here? Let me just kind of show that really quickly then.
I use Easy Drummer, but that's sort of the baby version of Groove Agent, right?
I don't think so.
No, Superior Drummer is the
okay.
is what
So,
I use that, and I don't use Easy so much anymore.
So let me pull up Groove Agent here, and
Does anyone use these Stephen Slate drums?
that'd be interesting. I just got that promo. I think they're on sale or something like that. Oh, okay. All right. So here we are. So here's a particular kit that I have open on this track here. And so what is it? So essentially what I did, for screwing around with this, I'll just, and then I want to put in so I'll put that in afterwards. And then when I'm playing it, so yeah, and then it comes into what I had before. So, that's pretty slick way to kind of do the same thing. And then I want to in this little part here, where'd you go? You're over here now. And this little part, I didn't really like that snare drum. So I can just kind of put this out over here, and I want to maybe I want to use that thing. So then I, whatever, there's a little thing in there. So that's a pretty slick way to do the same thing with drum beats. And I don't know what other tools there are for Studio One or some of the others, but that's another way to play around with various drum patterns. And if I wanted to change to a completely different piece, let's just say, is there another drum agent in here? Well, I'll just duplicate that for now, just so I don't screw up this whole piece. So I duplicate the track. mute this. I come in here, I select all events, make it go away. Come in here, open that up. And then I want to change a drum set. I'm just going to pick something random here. And so you got a completely different kind of palette to play to work from. Now, one of the things that you can do is take something like this. I'm just going to pick one here. I'll drag this over here to wherever that is, and then I'll go into like didn't I have a battery in here? Where was battery? It was battery in the drums. You can go into battery. Where's battery in here? How come I don't have where? I'm like losing track of my own little thing here, but oh, because it was in the other one. All right, I think I took it out of this particular one here, but you can go into a battery or another kind of drum pattern and then mess with it. Actually, you know what? I can do that with a different different. Let's try Abbey Roads here. Let's just open up that. And we'll come over here, drag this guy down here, and solo this, and then see if it sounds close. Yeah, so not all the sounds are going to be matched up, so you could just kind of whatever, move it to wherever you want, keeping the same pattern if you wanted to do that. So you can grab various patterns, but it's kind of like using Scaler in the same, you know, for drum stuff. I don't know. Does anybody have anything related to that they do with in a different DAW? I don't know what they have for Logic or Studio One in that regard.
Studio One has a pattern mode where, I mean, I can take MIDI files in from Superior Drummer Anywhere and you know, extrapolate a pattern from that or modify it there, and then
Can you drag and drop?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's the same kind of workflow. So I mean, I'm not working on a lot of pop music right now, but when I do, even if like I'm just trying to start off with like kind of a groove of some kind, I'll drag and drop and then play it live afterwards, so I've got something to lay tracks down, because it's more fun to play the drums when you got something that's kind of, you know, mapped out as far as your chord and your bass lines and so forth. So. And it's actually it's easier to play along with a minimal groove, even if it's like a boom chick, than to play along with a click track. It's just So that's one of the things I'll use in my workflow for that.
I agree with that.
But that's not artificial intelligence. That's just drag and drop. I've had that for a while. But I hope you guys found that interesting. There's so many other tools. I'm going to get into probably a few more of them when we dig into to the AI meeting on the 30th. Anybody have any other questions? Yeah, Scaler's a powerful tool. I think it's going to catch on as being something that people use more and more. It's gonna, if people will learn, if they're, limited in their music theory, they can really kind of do some of the things that we, us old folks that have kind of done a little bit more with music theory, they're going to be able to come up with some pretty competitive things. Of course, having that knowledge base to be able to be more intentional about what you're doing, and to be able to put your artist style, in the melody lines that you write, and in the way that you process transitions, or that your filter of your taste of combining various types of arpeggios or patterns and those kinds of things. That's really what is going to allow us to obtain relevant compositions or to be able to present something unique that somebody that's just dragging and dropping and popping in pre-canned stuff isn't going to be able to be competitive with. All right, well, I'm going to wrap up the live presentation, and then we can move on and hang out and talk some more, but here we go. Thank you all for watching, and thanks again, Rafal, for your really in-depth presentation on Scaler itself.
Thank you for listening, and yeah, this torture